You're in for such a treat. I just had an incredible conversation with my good friend Sid Graef. We talk about business leadership. We talk about scaling teams. We talk about getting out of the business and getting to manage the organization and lead the organization as an actual entrepreneur. We also get into the Hughes Convention, what they're doing there, resources they have. I cannot wait for you to hear from my friend Sid. Welcome to Market Mavericks. I'm Matthew Efird. Join me as I speak with leaders who are redefining industries in every corner of the market. From startups to established businesses, we'll uncover the strategies, challenges, and insights that drive success. Get ready to be inspired by the Mavericks who are shaping the future of business. Welcome, everybody, to the Pillars of Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Efird. This podcast is powered by Lighting Pros, and I'm so excited to have my friend here with me, Sid Graef. Sid is all things to a lot of people in the huge world and with his business. And if you are not familiar with him, I'm so excited for you to get to listen to the wisdom he's going to share. So, Sid, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited for us to have this conversation. Those who may not know you, if you're come on, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much, Matthew. It's good to see you, but thanks for having me on because the Pillars of Purpose podcast. I've been looking forward to this for a while. So
Awesome.
Thanks very much. And I think what you're doing in the industry is so important where you lead with, it's in the title, with purpose.
Yeah.
You've got to have purpose and you got to have stuff. So you asked me a question, introduce myself. And so Sid Graef, I have a small window cleaning company out of Western Montana. Started it 23 years ago.
Congratulations.
And, so that we're celebrating, this year, 23 years in business, which is cool. But we also own, we've got a car detail business that runs on its own here in town. I am partners in the Huge Convention, which is the huge convention for home services. And we run a mastermind for service businesses that have gotten a little bit bigger. They want to go from 1 million to 5 million. That's really our target audience of people that we help. So I've been in the industry for a long time, but I will say I don't really consider myself a business owner up until like the last 5 years.
Okay. So tell me that distinction. What made the shift for you 5 years ago?
Yeah. So beforehand, yes, technically I owned a business, but really I just owned a good job. I was like grit and hustle. You go out, you sell, you do the work. I got a couple of helpers. It was just built on my efforts and my personality, and it did a good job providing for my family, but it wasn't a business because it couldn't operate without me.
Yeah.
And it hit a point, it's probably when I turned 50, I was talking to my wife. I'm like, hey, I don't want to still be carrying a ladder when I'm 50.
Yeah, sure.
And she's like, well, you better do something different because you're out there working all the time, which is interesting because I really love the physical work. But I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I better learn how to turn it into a business that has systems and a team and a predictable path.
Okay.
And so that's what we focused on over the last 5 years, and it's turned out really well, really well.
So let's go back to before we get to there, let's go back to 23 years ago.
Yeah.
Take us back to the introduction of your window cleaning business, right? We've got a lot of what we consider entrepreneurs. They're leaders, and they've got a side hustle they want to turn into their full-time gig, or they're just itching to get into business ownership. What was that like for you?
Okay, I'm going to tell you in story form, but I'll try to keep it brief.
That's okay. Go ahead.
It's still as fresh in my mind now as it was 23 years ago. So we moved to Montana from Florida.
Okay.
Big change.
And
in Florida, I had cleaned windows, so I had some experience. But I was trying to build another business. We're hustling along. We got 3 young boys and a baby on the way.
Okay.
And we are $80,000 in debt because I started a business that went up and down and left us tragically broke. Literally, we've got $20 left to our name as a family. Like mac and cheese, we've been feeding those kids mac and cheese for 6 weeks. Do you know how long it takes a 5-year-old to get sick of mac and cheese? About 6 weeks. So we were desperate. And I remember distinctly, I was like, I went and talked to Denise. I'm like, honey, do you mind? We've got $20 left. Can I take $5? I'm going to go print some flyers and I'm going to knock on doors. I'm going to clean some windows. And she's like, please do something. Like we were desperate. So I did. I went out on Saturday and hustled. And we didn't have a business license. We didn't have a business name. everything. But I knew how to dress nice. I put on a
Sure.
polo, pair of shorts, knocked on doors. How's it going? I'd love to clean your windows. Have you ever had done? Here's my flyer, the ugliest black and white printed flyer imaginable.
Yeah.
However bad you can picture it, it was worse. And I did. I sold 3 jobs that Saturday, and I
Wow.
booked them all for Monday and Tuesday the next week. 2 jobs on Monday. Monday morning, I get up. I still had a squeegee in a bucket from prior from Florida,
Okay.
and but I didn't have a ladder. I didn't have anything, and I went out in this just piece of crap car that we had, and I went to Home Depot and I brought a 24-foot ladder up to the counter, and I was like, you guys take a check?" And they're like, "Of course, take a check." And I was like, "Okay." And I wrote a hot check for $200 for a ladder. My mom was so proud. It was like, "This is a pinnacle of your career. You're writing hot checks." I go and hustle and do this job, and it's so impregnated my mind. It was $210 job. I did the work, got
Wow.
paid. It was noon. I drove straight to the bank, put the check in the bank.
Thank you, Jesus. Wow.
I've got $10 to my name now, 10 extra dollars. Then went and did the second job. And then I got paid. It was about $200. I went straight to the bank, deposit straight to the grocery store, about 4 bags of groceries, and brought them home to my wife. And she cried. I cried. I was like, "Honey, it's going to be okay."
It's
So it
amazing.
was pretty gritty. So we literally started with $5 and just knocking on doors. And it was hustle and grit for years, for years. For 6 years into the business, we had 600 customers. I was like, we're averaging 100 customers a year.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. And it was, it was still just me and a guy.
Sure.
And then I was like, but winters are long in Montana and there is no window cleaning. And those were, dark days.
Yeah.
And but I started studying, and I was like, that was when I started studying something about business, and like I can't just ride on personality um, and good looks, obviously. I mean
Of
that
course. Yeah, of
um,
course.
for those of you that are only hearing it and not watching, you're probably better off on the good looks part. So we I started learning about marketing, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is fascinating. J. Conrad Levinson's guerrilla marketing was the
Okay.
first
Yeah.
book I
Yeah.
read.
Yeah.
And then I heard about Joe Polish, and then I started studying the greats and copywriters and Gary Halbert and all the stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, I built a marketing plan the next year, and in 6 months we added 1,200 new customers.
Let's go.
So it's
Let's
like
go.
boom, and that's when I realized that it almost killed us. I mean, like we had so much work coming in, it wasn't priced right, and the team that I had was not happy because I had them working long days and weekends, and you know, I was like, oh, that revealed all these other problems we had. I
Sure.
had too much work, not enough people, zero systems. What a disaster! We almost went out of business. But then it's like we took that and learned the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and then finally learned about running a business and not just a hustle. So
Sure.
that's the full story. Started with $5. Um, it wasn't looking great in the beginning, but it's turned out really well now.
What I love about that, Sid, is you went out and did something, right? So often we find ourselves as business owners the overwhelm of like, I don't know what to do, and so I'm just going to kind of sit here and not do anything, or I'm
Mm.
just going to kind of piddle around. And it's like, no, no, no. I got to put food on my table. My kids are tired of eating mac and cheese. I'm going to go. I'm going to put on a nice polo, and I'm going to go knock on doors. I don't want to be doing that in my 20s, late 20s, right? I don't.
Mhm.
I don't want to be doing that. But instead, he said, "Okay, I'm going to do that. That's what my family needs." And it's amazing to see, what God did and where He brought you from that. But take me back to 5 years ago. Like, so you said you turned 50. Okay, I'm tired of being the one carrying the ladder. Can you tell us before that change happened, what was like your day to day, just to give us the insight as a small business owner, as a solopreneur, that they hear that and like, oh no, that's me. I'm doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So, all right. So the very first system we implemented, I had 2 employees, Bjorn and Carson. And we
Okay.
all worked together. I didn't have an office person. It was just me, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
First system was, I was like, everybody, we had our little cleaning buckets. And if I didn't have a squeegee, I'd grab one out of Carson's bucket or Bjorn. Like we all were stealing each other's tools and stuff.
Sure.
I'm like, I'm putting a stop to that. I got just colored tape and we color coded the handles. So green, red, blue.
Okay.
And we set that up so like we could tell whose tools were whose. That was my first attempt at a system. That was the day I found out that Bjorn was colorblind. He said they all look brown to me, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even get one system. So fast forward, a few years, we moved into a shop space. I've got 5 employees, including someone answering the phone. But like without cussing, I'll just say F
Yeah.
because you know what that stands for. I
Yeah.
was like, our business was utter F.
Yeah.
Chaos
Yeah.
was chaotic.
Yeah.
But Brian Gottlieb was a keynote speaker at the huge convention last year.
Yeah. He
He
sure
made a
was.
statement that I was like, ooh, that I feel you. He said, chaos can produce revenue, but discipline creates profit.
Amen.
And
Amen. I've
yeah,
got that written in my notebook. Yeah.
oh, and so I wish I'd heard it then because it was chaos, hustle, grind, ba-da-da-da. But it was just a bigger hustle and more chaos because I had more people. But we were making money, and it was like, well, this is good. When we started to treat it really seriously, we started learning about like you already have a process. It's just not written down.
Yeah.
And it's probably a crappy process. So we
Yeah.
like write it down, then refine it, and then teach everybody. And then like and the biggest thing, being that solopreneur, or working by yourself, getting your first employee and stuff, is like there can be a mindset that, I mean, I'm sure you've heard it from other business owners or people that go, if you want something done right, you
Do it
got to do it
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah.
Like, this is not true.
Yeah.
You may
Amen.
be the best at lighting or mosquitoes or window cleaning, but you're not.
Yeah.
Somebody else can do it just as good or better than you can.
Yeah.
Like, so learning to let go was bigger than learning to build a system. There's like build a system and then train the people and then trust that they're going to do it
Yeah.
and then evaluate it as you
And
go.
I think that's such a huge step for any solopreneur, right? That first hire. Michael Gerber's got an incredible book, E-Myth Revisited. We talked about it a
Yeah.
lot on this podcast. If you haven't read it, go read it. Of a lot of the pitfalls that happen when you start to add on staff, and a lot of those pitfalls I fell into. But delegation's difficult, and
Yeah.
I've learned to define in my previous history as a business owner, my delegation style was dumping. And I would just say, like, hey, this is the problem, go solve it. And I would expect my team to think about it the way I would think about it, because
Yeah.
that's the way I want to be managed. Well, number I really like to be managed myself, but that's the way I like someone to help lead me and guide me, is like, this is the problem, go figure this problem out. That I thrive in that scenario.
Yeah.
But that's a disservice to my team, right? And I love the way that you're saying that. Like, okay, you've got a process. It's in your head, but let's write it down. And then as we write it down, we're going to realize, oh, we got a couple of duplicate steps in here. Why are we doing it that way?
Mhm.
And then you're going to get some input from your team, right? They're going to help refine your system. They're going to help refine that process. So when talk to the person that has had a bad hire, they thought they had a good system, employee screwed it up, they felt like a failure as a business owner, and they're like, I'm just going to do it all myself. Talk to that person.
Yeah.
Help them understand delegation tactics. How do they get better at doing that?
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there, but the bottom line is you have a dream that is bigger than you can accomplish by yourself. You have to build a team.
Amen.
If you want to be a solo operator and just be the guy that goes out and hustles and does his stuff, and that makes you happy, that is cool. It's actually quite profitable. But if you want to build something that's lasting or build something bigger than yourself, you got to build a team. There's just not enough hours in the day for you to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
So that said, like if you've never hired anybody before, don't think that the first person you hire is going to be perfect and stay with you forever.
Yeah.
That's a big misunderstanding because they're probably not. Because you may not know how to hire, you may not know how to train well, or you may not know how to manage, or like you build those skills as you go. So with the delegating, though, I encountered the same thing as you. Like there's a big difference between delegating and abdicating.
Yeah. Amen.
Abdicate is
Yeah.
go, here's a problem, go fix that.
Yeah.
And then when they don't do it the way you would have done it, you go, you idiot, why didn't
Yeah.
you do this? Why didn't you? They're like, all you said was fix it. But like when I started learning to delegate and building that skill and the muscle within my team was one, we just delegate task. Here's a well-defined task. Go pick up the mail. It's PO Box 18227. You go in the back door and here's the key. You like find it and then and bring it and then you like sort it this way, put this on my desk and this on Emily's desk. That's the task. You go next, you want to delegate a project. So the
Okay.
project might be, I need you to take care of accounts receivables by putting all the checks in. Well, that involves getting the mail, opening it, sorting it, pulling it, data, updating. That's a project. And then the next level is delegating an outcome. And
Okay.
that's where you started talking about. It's like, here's what I need. I need to know what my AR is and who owes me money. Well, that involves all the stuff. And
Yeah.
you go and collect the money. And like, but you generally don't start here unless you have someone that's already experienced it.
Sure.
Or like in your experience and mine too, it's like not everybody's thinking about it with the commitment and understanding of your company that you are.
Yeah.
So you have to explain it to them. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, come on. Then they should just get it. They don't.
They
They
don't.
don't. You
And
didn't when you started.
I was just fixing to say that. You didn't when you started. You learned it along the way. And we take that such for granted, right? At least I can speak for myself. Can't speak for everybody that's listening to this. I'm not going to speak for you, Sid. But for me, there's been many times that I've taken for granted the hours that I've spent, the years that I've spent getting to this level in my professional career.
Yeah.
That a young new hire, that this may be their first job, this may be their third job, they've not had that time. They've not
Yeah.
had those reps. And so what a disservice, what a poor stewardship of me, of that resource, that opportunity that I get to help create in them a new opportunity, a new skill set, a new way that they do work, that they're productive for themselves and for the business, right? And I
Yeah.
love your model of, okay, let's do tasks, let's do project, let's do outcome. What a very well worded way to think through that system of getting people to step up into their leadership abilities. I love that.
Yeah. Well, think as a parent, those you listen, if you got kids, and when you decide you're going to teach your kid to make their bed, there's nothing more frustrating. You go, just get out. I'll just do it myself. It's so much easier. Well, it's easier once, but it's not easier 1,000 times.
Yeah,
But you got to teach them right, and then let them learn and stumble and whatever. And same thing with employees. The same thing with anything that you need to delegate or do, unless you hire somebody that's got experience or has a real high level already,
sure.
which is a different animal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a different animal. I love that perspective. Okay, so small business owners delegating more, they may be in the realm of like, okay, I'm going to look for an adjacent business to either start or become a minority owner in or partner in. Give us the background of the huge convention, because that's a
Mm.
big deal that you were a part of that. That's a
Yeah.
big deal that y'all came in and acquired that. What, if you don't mind, can you share some of the details you're willing to share of how that came about? You're
Yeah.
in business for a long time. You've become successful. You're implementing the system. What did that look like for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll rewind 9 years ago,
Okay.
almost 10.
Okay.
First time I went to the huge convention, it stemmed from that conversation with my wife. She's like, if you're going to build a business and not carry the ladder, you got to do something different. I'm like, I don't know anyone that has successfully done this.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
just don't know anybody. I never really, honestly, I didn't really care. I was like, I'm pretty good at it. This is working. And I was like, all right, I've got to find other business builders. And I heard about the huge convention. I'm like, bought a ticket and bought a ticket for my production manager. So let's go and see this thing. The funny thing is, like, most window cleaners or carpet cleaners or power washers, they're kind of weird. Like and I mean it like this. They're hardworking, fiercely independent. They don't want somebody, they started their own thing because they didn't want somebody to tell them what to do.
Sure.
That's most of the guys in the industry.
Sure.
And they're great hard workers. And I was like, I don't want to be in a room with a bunch of people that think they know everything. And they're like weird window cleaners like me. But I'll go. And I had one goal. It's like I need to meet serious-minded business builders. And so I started checking out the speakers. And it was like Josh Latimer was speaking.
Oh yeah.
The guys that started it, Thad and Chris.
Okay.
And so I started stalking them on Facebook and messaged them. And I was like, I don't know anyone in the industry, but I didn't want to start in the back of the line. So I said, hey, I'm having an informal mastermind dinner the night before. We're going to talk about the state of the industry. And I invited like 10 people. 5 of them actually showed up.
Wow.
Vladimir and I
Yeah.
became good friends from that,
Nice.
burger
Yeah.
and beer.
Yeah. Josh is
And
a friend of the show. Yeah.
yeah. And so I went And I was like, lo and behold, I met several really serious minded business builders. I met Kirk Kimpton. I met Mike Dalkey. I met Brandon Vaughn. And
Well,
I was like, oh my gosh, these guys have already built what I'm trying to build. Why don't I just latch onto their wisdom?
sure.
And so I did that. And I was like, oh, I'm not missing this again. Next year I went, um, and then the following year, so I do some public speaking and things. And I got to know Thad a little bit. I interviewed him in the hallway. And the next year they had a hiccup with their MC, and I was like, if you need an MC, let me know. I will do that for you. Well, they called me and they're like, will you do it? It's in 2 weeks. And I'm like, of course. Like, well, and so I MC'd for a couple of years,
Okay.
and that of course was a big advantage because then I got to be in front of the stage. I got
Sure.
to meet a lot of people. It was really easy to
Sure.
meet leaders. Um, then COVID happened. I'm ready to go to Atlanta to the huge. It
Okay.
gets canceled kind of last minute. And after that, a lot of people changed directions, or like there were issues. What, it was COVID. Nobody knew what was going on at the time.
Sure.
Then then I got word from a good friend of mine, Mike Galkey. He called me up and it's like, "Hey, there might be an opportunity to buy the huge convention." I was like, "I I didn't know that that could be ever for. That's a business. I didn't know what the deal was."
Sure.
And he's like, "No, it's like this." And Thad and Chris, and like they're looking to move on to other things, and I'm looking for the right people to put it together. And so we had a group of seven of us. We had the opportunity. We put the money together. We bought it, and then the next year, like our only goal was don't screw it up. Like just make sure it
Okay.
happens.
Okay.
And it was exactly like what you read in the E-Myth Revisited, guys that go, I'm pretty smart, I can do this myself.
Yeah.
And you get in, you don't have zero idea what you're doing,
Yeah.
but somehow you pull it off. And then, so like year one, just get the show back together because
Okay.
it skipped 2020.
Okay.
And then year two, we relocated it and we started putting systems together based on what we learned. And then year three, we hired people to fill the spots in
Cool.
that system. And year four, we got two really high level people to be an event coordinator and handle all the vendors.
Okay.
And we put together speakers and and it's gone really well. Here's why. We have one desire, and that is to help your home service business professionals build a better business.
Yeah.
So everything we do is like bringing the
Yeah.
vendors that can show them,
Sure.
bringing the speakers that can teach them,
Sure.
put together a place where people can network with others, and then you have the opportunity to grow. So that's a long story, but that's how it worked. And it's one of my favorite things to do. It is a lot of work,
Sure.
but
But
setting up an environment where people can grow and learn. Like,
but
come
I
on.
love Sid. One of the things I love. I had the opportunity to speak last year at the huge, and I look
Mhm.
forward to again this year. The what I love about that, and you specifically, and the guys that I got to meet, some of the co-founders or co-owners now, there is that heartbeat of like, we run organizations and we want them to be better. We may be doing $20 million, we may be doing $200 million, but we still have the opportunity to grow and to learn. What a cool room to be in, right? For
Yeah.
anybody who's listening to this is in the home services space, if you want to get better as a business leader, it's coming up this fall. You need to check out the huge. Make sure that's in the show notes. Definitely want you to be able to get there, because he who walks the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fool suffers harm. Right? That we
Yeah.
surround ourselves with good people that are trying to do the same thing that we're doing, just like you did when you first joined there, Sid. Like when you
Yeah.
first started going there, you met Josh Latimer, these other guys that you named, and like, hey, they're doing what I want to do. I'm just going to follow in their wake, right? I'm going to start asking them questions like, this is what I'm coming up with right now. What would you advise? Like, what did
Mhm.
you do when you were at this level? The level of conversation that happens around those tables is worth the weight in gold, right? Because then you get to scale further and faster. You get to have a greater impact in your organization. You get to avoid some of those headaches. Some of those you're still going to hit, but some of them you get to avoid. And then from the huge, one thing that I love that you're doing is the mastermind. And
Yeah.
and one thing that I admire a lot is you have a target market that you're going for. I think so often people get into this, we can help everybody. And it's not
Yeah.
that you can't. It's not that you can't be a good resource, but you're like, no, we're gonna be focused. So like our master's mind is gonna be focused to help you go from 1 million to 5 million. So you know exactly. Like if you're $200,000, you're not ready for this.
Correct.
If you're at $25 million, you need to be looking at a different group that we may have. But the key, like if you're around that $1 million mark, we got you. We know exactly some of the steps that are ahead of you, and we can help you go over some of those hurdles. Where did you find the ability to focus down? What was that like?
Okay. All right. So the backstory on the mastermind, one, when we started that, before before we bought the huge convention.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and it was a peer-to-peer group, and there were about 20 of us, and most of us knew each other from the huge convention. We had become friends, and somebody floated the idea. I was like, hey, what if we got together every 90 days and just like shared best practices and help teach each other? Like, what are you learning? How are you growing? And what can you do? Like, what's made you money?
Sure.
And I was like, I am in. Let's do that. So we set it up, and that was maybe it was late 2018, maybe it was early 2019. But we set it up when we met in Nashville because we just got some resources there, and we 20 guys got together when we talked business. We smoked cigars. We drank bourbon. We actually called the group at the beginning. It was called the BBB, Business Bourbon.
There we go. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And it was a ton of fun. And it's like you got to hang out with your friends and talk business and get better. Like, what could be more fun than that?
Yeah.
And then people started getting results. And we were like, oh, this is really good. And then we were like, hey, if you know somebody, like we had one really core belief. It's like if you put the right people in the room, magic will happen.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the curriculum is, like the magic's gonna happen. So we're like, who are the right people? And so we started reaching out to our friends and go like, hey, we do this thing. It's hard to describe. Once you come on. And like then people started getting really good results. And we're like, we've got some great resources and a big network. Like, what if we started bringing in people that were, they're doing 20 million, 50 million, 100 million to talk, and let's learn from them. So anyway, then, after that, after a few years, we turned it into an actual, rather than it being anecdotal experiences that I can share with you. It's like, hey, Matt, I did this thing and it made me some money and maybe you should try it.
Sure.
We're like, how do $100 million companies, billion-dollar companies think about a business? What do? They don't just show up and it's like, I'm going to start a thing. They go, let's do some market research. What's the total addressable market in that area or in that industry? How much of that can we get? How do we do it? What's the go-to-market strategy? So we started building a curriculum around the way, big companies build a business.
Sure.
And we started teaching that. And so it's got a quarterly rhythm. We've got a 3-year curriculum, and both of bringing in tools that help people think through their business.
Okay.
And concepts that help them amplify their business or grow it faster. And then an operating system or a system of battle rhythm to make sure that the people on your team and your leadership are on the same page, marching in the same direction at the same time.
Yeah.
And it makes it really powerful.
Yeah.
So now we've got, currently, I think we have 64 members.
It's awesome.
And
so cool.
But everybody pays monthly to be there quarterly so they can accelerate the growth of their business. So if it's, if you're at that $1 million mark or pushing it, or if you're 2 million and you go, I want to 10X this baby, and I know I have the potential, I just don't know how to do it. Same thing as when you started, you didn't know what to do.
Sure.
But you started moving. Now there's, this is one place where there's a clear path for people that are hungry.
And what's so, again, it's just so valuable, right? When I sit with folks that are stages down the road from me, the conversation's different. That I have friends that I'm deep friends with that are business owners, and we're in similar stages of business ownership, right? We can lament, we can go back and forth, we can shoot the breeze, we can have fun, but there's wisdom to be shared. But typically, it's just like the shared suffering of this is frustrating. I had this employee issue, whatever it was. Maybe I'll have some advice. But when you have somebody who's been there, done that, and they've scaled past that, if that's your goal, if your goal is to scale past that, that's the person you'd be spending time with. Yeah. It's not the person who's never done it. It's not this is the theory. This is what I read about in a book. This is what I think you should do. It's like, no, this is what I did. Here's the roadmap. Here's what I did. Here's mistakes I made. the feeder system from the huge to the mastermind is a no brainer, right? It's such a good opportunity for you as a business owner that you've now created this environment of like-minded people that are coming there, and it's like, okay, now what's now what do we do next? Well, now it's an easier feeder system into the mastermind. I think it's brilliant. When you look at, I've got two, as we kind of come to the end of our time, Sid, thank you
Sure.
so much for sharing two things to kind of bring us home. Number one, when you look at your business ownership, specifically, let's go your window cleaning business, now being in part of the mastermind, helping lead in the mastermind, leading in the huge, like, how has that changed your local business? What are some changes you've made over the last 5 years? If you stepped into that more business owner rather than the doer of the thing, you're now the owner of the thing. Like, what are some advice that you would have given yourself 6 years ago, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
that you know now?
Yeah. So you go, what's a leading indicator?
Okay.
What leads the change? And as you know, like if you go Romans 12:2,
Yeah.
be renewed, like you got to
Yeah.
renew your mind
Yeah.
and you'll be transformed.
Yeah.
And so one of the beliefs I had, wasn't a limiting belief necessarily, it was, but I like always introduce myself was networking or what it was like, hey, I'm Sid the window cleaner. I'm the window cleaner. I'm the
Okay.
window cleaner. And one day I was just like, I love cleaning windows, but I don't want to be known as the window cleaner. I'm building a business. So I started introducing myself as I'm a business owner. I build businesses.
Oh, I love
What
that.
what do you have? I'm like, it's a window cleaning business. And then I wanted to go, I was like, I don't want our company to be known just as window cleaning. I want it to be a partner in the community that we live in. So I started volunteering with nonprofits. I got on the
Okay.
board of a nonprofit,
Okay.
not seeking to gain, but to give.
Sure.
But that community engagement shifted the way that people perceived me
Sure.
and our company.
Sure.
But I wasn't doing it for a pat on the back. I just wanted to help. But I also wanted to be that community engagement. And then it's like as I grew in that capacity and people started to introduce me as a business owner, a business owner. And I was like, you know what? I want our company not to be like we just teach people how to clean windows. It's like, so now we reframed our company as we train leaders. Like all the guys and gals that work for me, they're all in their 20s
Love
and they
that.
all want to be better
Yeah.
and they all want to make money. And I'm like, well, I'm going to teach you how to become a leader. You can lead yourself. You can lead your team. You can lead a crew. You can, let's go because that skill will only serve them for in the future. I've got a big belief that I want anybody that works for us to be better for having worked here.
Yeah.
Like
Amen.
learn a
Yeah.
skill, a true, attitude. And so that, like when I started viewing myself as not Sid the window cleaner, but Sid the business builder, it opened up doors for me to buy and invest in and partner with other business builders. Something
Love
else
it.
that was really interesting is like, I don't know, Matt, did you grow up with money or like you got from humble beginnings, your
Yeah.
family?
We were middle class. Yeah.
Okay. It's like growing up, I didn't know anyone that was a millionaire.
Yeah.
Like
I
I
didn't
didn't,
either.
I mean, I might have known one, but didn't know it, but I didn't know it. I remember going like having a sleepover with a kid when I was in grade school and they served we had dinner and mom made hamburgers and had tater tots out of a frozen bag.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, Mark, you guys are rich because you got tater tots.
Yeah.
Like I never,
Yeah.
you can only get that at a restaurant. I was like, that was my benchmark for what wealthy was. Is you can afford to buy frozen food. Um, until I started getting into the room with people that were millionaires.
Okay.
Like I wanted to be a millionaire. I'm not real money driven. I like have different motivations, but
Sure.
I was like, I thought, yeah, I'll become a millionaire one day, but I didn't know how. I didn't know anybody that was. But I got in the room with people that had already done it, and I was like, oh, well, it's not even that difficult.
Yeah.
Just here's the principles and here's the things. But being around, they say your network is your net worth. Being around people that had the multi-million-dollar business made me realize, even though it was a dream of mine, it's like, oh, I can do that because I saw somebody already did it.
It was so cool. I got to see somebody on that's part of our audience, this part of this community, this listening, and I'm sure they're listening to this episode, and they may be laughing as I'm sharing the story, but they share with me one of the things they love about the podcast is hearing stories like yours of like, hey, this is not too unattainable. Business ownership's hard, and it
Mhm.
takes an investment. and it takes a skill set and it takes a drive and determination, but it's not the elusive thing that you can't ever do, right? That there are opportunities in business ownership for everybody. I believe that, and I believe that good business can change the world. So
Yeah.
I have a huge propensity to the same thing of like, no, we're when you work with me, you're going to be better for working here. My job as a business owner is to elongate that season that you work with me. But no matter what, everybody that we hire, the last interviews with me, and it's a conversation that we have like similar to this. You will end your time here with us at some point. You're either retire, you move, you're find another job. Like this relationship that we're entering into is not forever. My job as the leader is to equip you to be better while you're here. So that way, when you move into whatever's next for you, you're better equipped for that. Because if
Yeah.
you get better here, the business gets better and we
Yeah.
get better, we get bigger, all the things, right? And I've got a dear friend who's a Chick-fil-A operator, and he says, I'm in the leadership development business. I just
Yeah.
happen to sell chicken sandwiches, right? And that's the mentality you're sharing too. The same thing mentality we're trying to share is like, no, our people are such a incredible gift that we have. And we want to steward them well. We want to steward the time they have with us well and helping us get to the direction that we want to go as an organization. We can't do it our own. If your vision is to do it on your own, that's okay. If that's the God-given vision you have, if that's the direction you want to go, that's fine. But
Mhm.
if it's not, if you want to do something bigger, you've got to build teams. You got to do it just like you said. Okay, let's land the plane here. Sid, as we're
Okay.
running out of time. You started a new business this past year. We talked about it a few times before you started and after you started. Can you give us kind of a real quick overview of your most recent business and how did you set it up differently that you didn't set up your window washing business?
Okay, cool. So I've got two great stories on that.
Okay.
One, so I've got this is 23 years for our window cleaning business. And for years, I tried to extract myself from day-to-day operations. And it was like the Brer Rabbit. I kept getting stuck, sucked back in. At the same time, 7 years ago, I bought a car detail business from a friend. He
Okay.
used to work for me cleaning windows, started his own
Okay.
deal, just mobile. Bought it from him, and it wasn't much of a business. It was like he gave me a stack of papers, but instead of immediately turning on, like I just sent the calls to voicemail, and I sat with one of my sons who's highly organized, and we wrote processes for the whole company.
Wow.
Now, they weren't great, but they were in writing. But I wanted to put it down in writing so I could go, here, you run this. Like, here's the rule book.
Sure.
We did that. And from the day we started, my goal was I will never detail a car, but I will own a detail business. So I can show myself, you don't have to be the tech to be the business owner.
Sure.
Like, fine. I detailed two cars because one day we had two scheduled and everybody called in sick but me. So I honored our customer.
Okay.
But aside from that, I spend like 15 minutes a week on that business. And it's small, but it's profitable.
Yeah.
Pound
That's
for pound,
awesome.
it's
I
the
love
most
it.
profitable thing I have.
It's awesome.
I'm like, oh my gosh. Now, fast forward. My wife is a Pilates instructor and she's a certified instructor trainer
Okay.
for balanced body. So she trains
Okay.
the trainers. And in November of this past year, so we're mid-March, so 4 months ago, she goes, you know what? I'm ready to open a studio. I'm like, cool, let's do it. And in 5 weeks, she found the location, and the studio actually opens next Tuesday,
Wow.
the first.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Nice.
And having gained a lot of experience and perspective and learning like how to build systems, and like we set up a roadmap in the beginning, 17 pages of all the stuff that needs to be done from setting up your LLC to getting your EIN to da 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 da. But we built all the processes and built it in so that it could operate in a way that supports my wife
Yeah.
and the team
Cool.
and not be a burden for us. And it's like there are bumps along the way and you front load all the work, but it's like planting a garden. You work hard to plant and till and do all the stuff. Here's the cool thing. They're like, it's already established before day one as a business, not as a job.
I love that. What a
And
huge distinction.
oh my gosh. And it's great. And we pre-sold. I mean, we haven't run a class yet. And we had revenue started 30 days ago that is, double the expenses. So on
It's
the
amazing.
day it opens, it's profitable.
It's amazing.
Like, oh my God.
Congratulations.
This is cool. Yeah,
That's
thanks.
so cool. I love it, man. Well, if please don't give her cell phone number, Sid. But if somebody wants to get in touch with you, if they want to get to know more about the Huge, if they want to get to know you, the mastermind, how they get in touch?
Cool. The easiest thing, if you want to know about the Huge, it's thehugeconvention.com. It's got all the information. If you want to get in touch with me, you can ping me on Facebook. I will say I only check social media about every other week. So if I don't get back to you right away, it's not personal. It's just like I don't check.
Perfect.
But I will get back to you.
Cool. That's awesome, man. Brother, thank you. Thank you for your support of me and our businesses. Thank you for the support of the Huge community and your organizations. I'm excited to hear how your wife's studio goes and the business that grows there. And I look forward to seeing you this fall.
Awesome. Thank you. Right back at you too. Thank you very
brother.
much.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Market Mavericks. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Market Mavericks. We hope you're walking away inspired and ready to take your own adventure to the next level. Don't forget to follow the show to keep up with our latest episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe, share it with others who could benefit. And hey, if you know a market maverick who has a story that needs to be heard, please drop their name in the comments. We would love to bring their insights to the show. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and leading with purpose.